Hello, physio practice owners. If you are looking to have your physio practice ranked higher on Google Maps, then this is the episode for you. Hello, and welcome to today's episode. It is called How Your Physio Practice Can Rank Number 1 in the Google Local Map Packs. Now, the reason why this is important is if you really think about it, right? A lot of your new patients will come from Google. Around 60, 65%, sometimes more from the customers that we work with, their new patients come from Google. So when you get this dialed in and when you have Google Maps working, which is a very important part of getting new patients, there's going to be a lot of results coming through. So getting this right is very, very important for physio practices. So today I'm going to show you exactly what that process is for your physio practice, so you can rank number 1 or at least higher in that very, very important Google Map Pack, so you can start getting more new patients back into your practice. All right. So before we do that, what I want to mention to you is working with a lot of physio practices over the years, and specifically and only with physio practices, we've come up with a specific method that works really, really well for physio practices. So today, the actual method is called the Own Your Area method, right? Something that, like I said, it's something that we've devised over the years. But, today we're going to be talking about the second part of it, right? At this point, you just want to make sure that your website's pretty strong, right? If you haven't got that dialed in, if you want to get that even more polished up, there's another podcast episode you might want to watch first. But even if you don't, right, today we're going to be focusing on the second part, which is be seen on maps, which is a very, very important part. Okay. So before I go ahead and unravel and break this process down, let's talk about some of the costs. What could be some of the disadvantages if you don't get this part right? Now, remember, like I mentioned, if you have this working properly, what we find is the practice owners that we work with, about 60 to 65% of their new patients come from Google. Google Maps being quite a big part of that. So what are the costs if you don't get this one right? What we find is invisibility, because if you really think about it, let's just go, if you type in physio near me in your area, right? Typically what comes up is a local map pack. It is the largest part and the highest, the topmost part in your Google search results. So if you're not up there, you run the risk of being invisible. So for people who are looking for physios and physio services in your area, if you're not there, you run the risk of being invisible. Obviously, your competitors being more visible and them getting the attention and the new patients. Okay. And part of it is a lot of patients are looking for more and more ways to build trust and credibility online. All right. So having a Google Map listing up in the search results, you might remember what it shows. Google search results is it shows the website, it shows the reviews, a number of reviews, what the star rating as well for it as well. So if you don't quite have that and you can't showcase that right from the start when somebody starts looking for physio practice around your area, you decrease the amount of trust you have. That's a big thing. We need to create a lot of trust before somebody can consider, or somebody will consider, until they become a new patient. We'll have to make sure that we build a bit of trust with them. Okay. And as you can imagine, if we don't have these things all dialed in other words, if you're not visible enough, if you're not creating the trust that you need to, eventually you're going to be missing out on more patients in the area. It's going to be very difficult for your practice to grow, right? If you don't have this working for you, if you don't have the Google Maps part of it. So today we're going to be focusing on exactly what that is. So what are the benefits if this happens and when this happens for you? Really, it's the exact opposite of what we talked about before, right? Here, instead of being visible, limited visibility, you're going to have more visibility. You're going to appear in more search results, therefore more traffic from new patients coming to your website, and it's eventually then booking into your practice as well. So more eyes on you. Mention having your listing in the Google Map Pack will allow you to showcase your reviews and your ratings. That will allow you to build a lot of trust, which naturally can create more engagement and then being more likely to go there into your website and then obviously become a new patient. All right. Easy navigation and being able to contact you. And this is one of the things that we find. For example, let's just say they are a patient of your clinic. All right. What they will typically do is they will Google your practice name, right? And they will find your practice in the map pack. You can get directions from there and you can call from there as well. This is part of the reason why Google really puts a lot of weight onto the map packs, because it's very highly relevant information for patients that are looking for a practice like yours or patients that are already a part of your practice. All right. And obviously, having these dialed in, like I mentioned, because such a large percentage of new patients will come from Google, you will get more new patients as well. And obviously, when all these things are working pretty well, Google Maps being part of the big overall, the strategy of it, you're going to have more patients, therefore more growth for your practice as well. All right. So some great benefits there. Just in case I guess you're not fully clear on what the Google Map Pack is. So I've got obviously, if you're on video, you can see this little screenshot here of a Google Map Pack. And this is one of our customers in Crow's Nest. If you don't know where that is, that's in Sydney, near the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So if you go Crow's Nest Physio, right, this is what typically comes up in the top of Google. All right. What you'll find is you'll see a map there with all the little practices relevant to that search term and everything listed there. Now, you'll see there's a sponsored one here, all right? And on top of that, there is one of the most important ones to have is, are you appearing on what we call the organic listings here? All right, so our customer here is North Shore Physio. They're number one in that list. You want to make sure, especially for your local area, city and suburb, when somebody types in physio, your local area, all right, you appear at least in the top 3, ideally number 1. That's what we're really trying to get to happen. So the higher you are, obviously, the more patients will come through and more patients will book with you as well. We've already covered some of these details, but let's go through it. So what you'll find is, once again, because your phone number is in Google Map Pack, you'll find a lot of people will actually call from Google Maps. A lot of inbound calls will be coming from there. All right. So being really visible in a map pack is very important for that reason. Like I mentioned, it creates trust with patients, right? Because you can showcase your reviews as well. And not only that, by having the reviews and being visible, it actually creates a Google effect, SEO effect, which we'll cover a bit later on as well. Okay. And once again, like I mentioned, direction, right? So if anyone's looking to come to your practice, you want to make sure they're on time. They arrive 5 minutes early, 10 minutes early, whatever that is for your practice. So they're there in time for the treatment so you can provide a high quality service. Having you visible on there will allow your patients to come through with directions as well. All right. Like I mentioned, ideally number 1, but you want to be in the top 3 for the big keywords in your area. So big keywords in your area typically are physio near me, physio, your local city, suburb area, those kind of keywords. Okay. So this is all great and well in theory, but how do we get to number 1? All right. So let's break it down. All right. The first thing, it is remarkable. I still find quite a lot of physio practices still out there that haven't claimed or created their Google business profile yet. So if you haven't done, that is your first step. Go and create a Google business profile. All right. All you have to do is create Google business profile. It's a very simple process to do that. All right. It's number 1. And once you've done that, then you have to make sure that you optimize that profile over time. Now, there's a lot of things to do for that to happen. We're going to cover today what all those exact things are. All right. But one of the most important parts of getting your Google business profile optimized is getting what we call the NAP, name, address, phone number. Because what you want is the Google listing is basically one of the fundamental points where a lot of your search traffic will come to. And you want to have this name, address, and phone number, especially in the Google business profile. Because if it doesn't match to any other links that are coming through, you're going to create it's going to be broken up and segmented and fragmented. All right. So number 1 thing is just check your name, address, and phone number. I know it sounds very simple, but make sure you get it right, because if you don't, like I mentioned, it's going to be your Google signals are going to be very fragmented. To make sure your business hours are up to date, right? If you have more staff, if your staff are leaving, if you open on Saturdays, Sundays, late, public holidays, make sure they're all updated as well. All right, just create a bit more trust and credibility in what you're trying to put out into the Google architecture as a whole. All right. And one of the things that I see commonly as well is the category is not correct. All right. Make sure if you're looking to be a physio in your area that your category be physiotherapy or physical therapy. It's very important that you choose that as your primary category, right? If you really think about it, this is your way of signaling to Google what you do as a service. So if you don't get this right, it's very difficult for you to rank well in the maps for physio related terms, because what we see is a lot of incorrect categories. So make sure your physio is your primary. You can add the others that you need to as secondary ones. A very important point. So go ahead and have a look at that and make sure that's right. All right. Now, NAP audit. So just making sure that your name, address, and phone number. So once you've got this correct in Google, you just need to go and make sure that all the links that are coming into your practice have the same NAP. All right. And a tool that we use and we recommend is a tool called Bright Local. All right. So it's a great tool to have a look at all the links that are coming in, all the things that are connected and backlinked to your website, and to see where you stand with those backlinks when it comes to your NAP. All right. Here are some of the things that you can really have a look at and really tweak and get things right to rank well in the Google Maps within Bright Local. All right. Firstly, it's an online health checkup. It'll check overall how your Google business profile is doing, how your reputation management is doing, how your on-site SEO is doing, how you are doing in terms of ranking and competitors as well. It's a great place to have a look at an overall bird's eye view of how your practice is going holistically online. All right. Like I mentioned, there's a section in there for NAPs as well. All right. So you can really check and see which part or which websites that are linked to your website have an incorrect NAP, and you need to go and correct them. Okay. Like I mentioned, reputation management. It'll show you, how you are going in terms of getting Google reviews, especially. All right. So what we find as a minimum benchmark standard, you need to be getting 10 positive Google reviews every single month for each of your practices. If you have multiple practices, 10 per practice per month, quality ones, so 4 and 5-star reviews. What this signals is it'll signal to Google that, firstly, you're a high quality provider in your area. You're getting lots of reviews. All right, it'll help you rise and go up through the ranking. And obviously, when you have a lot of ranking coming through, the trust and the authority that you'll be creating and building for people who are looking for physios in your area will be higher as well. All right, it's very important. So Bright Local will show you that. So visibility tracking, like I mentioned, this is, how you are ranking for a certain keyword. So you need to come up with a whole list of keywords that are important in your area, put them into Bright Local. It'll tell you exactly where you're appearing in different platforms, right? Not only that, you can actually have a look at your competitors as well, right? And see how they're going, all right, compared to you. It's very important as well, all right? Google My Business Management, and obviously you can create progress reports as well. It's a good tool that we use. Okay, so how do you appear number one, right? Like I mentioned, you've got to optimize your Google business profile, all right? So the thing is, you really need to know your audience and your market really well. What are people typing in to Google to find you, to get really clear on what those keywords are, right? And the more specific the keywords are, the more relevant it is going to be for you, all right? So keep that in mind. You've got to be very specific with the keywords, because the broader a term is, for example, physiotherapy, right? It's a very broad subject. And to do well in terms of, Google and SEO is a lot tougher because it's very broad. But if you have, physio for whiplash, all right, it's a very specific keyword. It's easier to rank for that, all right? But whatever it is, you need to come up with all the keywords that are relevant for your area, including the physio suburbs, right? Or your cities and areas that you're in. For example, physio Sydney, physio downtown, or whatever that is. You need to make sure that you get those keywords, because we're going to be using them in your Google business profile to optimize the profile. All right. And how you do that is basically once you've identified all those keywords, you got to then include those keywords in the description and posts that you'll be putting on Google Business Profile, right? So basically what you're trying to do is firstly recognizing what the most relevant keywords are and then including them as posts and updates in Google Business Profile to signal to Google that whenever somebody searches for these terms, this is what we do, all right? So it helps you rise through the ranks that way, okay? Now, like I mentioned before, get high quality reviews. Like I mentioned, the standard that we hold is minimum of 10 4- and 5-star reviews every single month per practice. All right, use that as a standard. We really need to make sure that's happening regularly and consistently. Just shows that, like I said, you're a quality service provider that is consistently improving your online profile, and Google sees that and helps you rise through the ranking, right? But what I want to mention is what we find is a lot of practice owners get really nervous about Google reviews and getting bad reviews. All right. So the way I look at it is this. Firstly, if you are a quality outfit and you want to serve your patients to the highest level, you're going to have a lower chance of getting less than 4-star reviews or 3, 2, and 1-star reviews. If you're serving people into a high degree, you're going to get less reviews. But even if you get a bad review, let's just say 3, 2, or a 1-star review, it's how you handle it. Or let's just say you get a 1-star review, somebody's quite upset and they are not very happy with you. If you handle that in a 5-star way, trying to really look after that patient, all right, other people who've seen that review will see your response and will really, your quality and your care will shine through how you respond to that. And what we find is if you do those steps, you can ask that person, once you've solved whatever their issue is, you can ask that person to remove the Google review, which is totally legal and allowed to do once you solve their problem. So if you really are a quality outfit looking for serve people to the highest level, you shouldn't have any trouble, number one, getting good reviews, handling bad reviews, and even removing them. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so here are some of the reputation management software that, that we recommend that you use. So Review Trackers, Podium, and Bird Eye. Go check them out, all right? There's obviously subscription fees and things like that, but whatever it is, you need to make sure that you get reputation management happening, especially on Google, because remember, a lot of your patients are coming from Google. So getting that right is very important. Okay. Now, what else you got to do? Authentic photos in Google Business Profile. Now, what I mean by this is authenticity is the most important part when it comes to your marketing. All right. Website, images, content, whatever it is, being authentic. A lot of physio practice owners, they lose their way, in my opinion, by trying to make things really pretty and aesthetic rather than authentic and a bit rusty, so to speak. All right. So the important part is show your actual practice. It doesn't have to be perfect. And in fact, if it's imperfect, it'll create more connection with patients because it's real, right? So use photos of your staff, practice, and equipment. Even if it's photos from your phone, perfectly fine. You don't need to have professional photos. Obviously, that will help, professional photos. But remember, authenticity is the name of the game here. All right. So using those images in the Google Business Profile will help engage anyone who's looking into your profile. Okay. Building local links is another way of boosting how you appear in Google Maps. So local directories and really working with local businesses that are related to physio, so sporting clubs, or maybe massage therapists down the road, or even a chiropractor, if you're teamed up with them, those kind of businesses, and you're putting links onto their pages, Google will see that as, okay, your practice having a good, deep-rooted network of businesses around you referring back to you. All right. That'll be really helpful to make sure that you're, once again, rising in this Google local mapper, because what Google looks for is there's 3 main things that's really important when it comes to SEO, including Google Map SEO, is keywords, content, and links. All right. Links are important because it's like signaling to Google that somebody else is giving you and your practice a vote, an online vote. And the more relevant that online vote is, the better chance of you rising through the ranks in Google Maps. Now, the most important part of all of what we just talked about is not just doing it once, right? Being consistent, month on month, fortnight on fortnight, year on year. Be consistently doing these things over time will help your Google profile. This is not just hit this thing once and leave it. You can't do that because it'll go through fatigue, number one. And number two is your competitors will be doing similar things in your area. So you really need to make sure that you boost your profile at a minimum to stay at that same level, right? So being consistent over time is a very important thing. And what you'll find is, you might have very slow start to the performance of your Google Maps, but you probably would have heard the compound effect, right? So little things done consistently over time, it doesn't have a linear effect, it has a compounding effect. So over time, you'll find that the more consistent you are doing this accurately, you're going to have a snowballing effect towards the end. All right. It's very important. You just don't know when that is, but you've got to keep doing that work until you get there, and obviously beyond that as well. Right. So what are some of the action steps up from here? So firstly, if you haven't claimed or created your Google Business Profile, go ahead and do that and update your Google Business Profile. Remember selecting physiotherapy or physical therapy as a primary category and adding the other ones on, right? Get the NAP right, name, address, and phone number, especially in the Google Business Profile, critical. Get that right. All right, gather and manage reviews, like I mentioned. Use the tools that we talked about. Minimum 10 positive reviews per month, and handle the bad reviews in a 5-star way and facilitate that person removing the review from your site as well, because you're looking after them. That's the important thing, all right? Engage locally, like I mentioned. Work with other local businesses to get backlinks back into your practice, all right? But the most important part is you can't just do this, and it's not a set and forget thing. It is something that you have to do consistently over time, because like I mentioned, not a linear thing. It'll be very slow to start off with, but it'll start to compound. But you need to keep and being consistent to get there. So I really hope that was useful. I hope you got some great tips to have a look at your Google Business Profile to get you to appear in those higher positions when it comes to the important keywords in your local area. So if you found that useful, head down to our website, physiomarketing.co. There are heaps and heaps of articles, videos, resources, just checklists, and great hot tips and strategies to really move you forward in your physio practice as well. And also, if you want to have a chat with me directly to see how we can implement this into your practice and get you to that next level, go to our website. There should be a book a call button on the top right hand corner. Find a suitable time. Always happy to help you out and see how and what we can do to get you to that next level. So thanks for tuning in. Up until next time, take care.